everyone. Uh, Thank you for watching this. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you watched our other episodes before this one, where we talked to some other people from the Horsemen podcast. And the episode right before this, episode 3, we talked to a guy named Ken, and that one went south. It got
So far.
yeah, it got a little weird. He said a lot of weird things that we talked about it later, and we decided that none of what he said is true. And
Guy's kind of crazy.
yeah, he's just a crazy guy. So I don't know why they hired him. For, Horseman, but
what happened with him, what he said, that wasn't really a big deal. Like, it wasn't true. So, like, I'm sure all of this stuff was just like crazy ramblings, anyways.
Yeah, no, exactly. Another thing, it's a little slow on this part, so it might record a little weird. But I'm sure we can still hear you, so that's perfect. We apologize for all the drama from the last episode. We decided to post it anyways because we thought that it was interesting, and we thought that you guys would still want to see it. And I know yeah, exactly. I know we ended the last episode by saying that we didn't think we were going to continue, but we decided against that because I think you guys are enjoying this, and I know I'm enjoying this, and I'm sure you're enjoying this, Christiana. So
yeah.
So yeah, we're here and we're continuing, and we're just gonna forget about all the weird stuff that happened last episode. Didn't happen. So
not at all.
Before we jump into Horsemen Huddle section of the episode, is there anything you'd like to say?
No.
Okay. So I want to talk about a little bit before we do the interview. Speaking of the interview, I forgot to say this before. We are going to be interviewing the mysterious David that we talked about in the Sienna episode. We were able to get his email, and we reached out, and he said that he would love to do this, and he saw some of the other, some of our other videos somehow, and he's excited to do this, so we have that scheduled for today. So yeah, that's perfect. But before we go into that, we would like to talk a little bit about the mysterious voice at the beginning and sometimes at the end of the Horseman season 1 Horseman episodes, where it goes like, "Welcome to Horseman." You know what I'm talking about?
Robot lady.
Yeah, exactly. She has a really weird, cool voice. We weren't able to find any contact information for her, anything like that, which is a bummer. Because if we did find it, we would be in an interview with her. But unfortunately,
yeah.
Not. Anything you want to say about that?
No.
Yeah. Okay. She also, at the beginning, she talks about like different horseman types, and she also talks about the carriers of the pearl a lot. And I thought that was interesting.
The carriers of the pearl aren't real. Like, I've looked at them, and it just like they've never been shown anywhere in the Bible or anywhere else. It was just made up into this story. Like, it was obviously the author's idea. It's not real.
Well, all right. I'm glad you did the research on that, because I did not do that. So yeah, he's in the lobby, so I'm gonna let him in if that's okay. Ooh.
Oh my! Didn't realize the video was on. All right.
You're in a very dark room.
I don't do a lot of Zoom calls. I apologize.
No need to apologize. I understand Zoom's a little weird.
No, I wasn't going to turn the video on, but I guess this is fine. Sorry for all the cloak and dagger. I just have to be careful with showing my face.
No need to be sorry at all. We completely understand. We know that you need to remain anonymous for some reason. We're just really glad that you could do this, and we really appreciate it. We just have a few questions about the creation of Horsemen and about the cast and all of that. If that's all right with you. Are you all right with that?
Oh, yes. As I said in the email, I'm happy to answer whatever I can.
Perfect. So my first question is about the timeline of Horsemen. Like, do you know where the story came from? Did you write it, or did you think of it yourself?
Well, I mean, we talked a little bit about that in the email, if you recall, but the what I can say is that the stories came from a rather esoteric place, and how it worked was 25, 26 years ago. I Before I was actually a children's author, I was traveling around and I was in West Texas, and I encountered a very interesting individual who we can call Old Pete, who was a stone worker. He would build walls, and he was actually working on a cemetery that had been destroyed by a tornado. And he was rebuilding that cemetery, and I was just very interested in his work. And it turns out that he was actually an intuitive. He was, I guess, a psychic, a sensitive. He channeled information. Have you heard the word channeling before? Does that?
We have, yes.
Okay, excellent.
We're a little familiar with it.
All right, so he channeled, and he had access to this information and shared it with me, trusted me with that, and I was fascinated, but I couldn't help him with him at the time. And then years later, not too long ago, actually, a few years ago, I had heard that unfortunately, old Pete had passed, and he was an old man at the time, and so he was no longer with us. But he had apparently asked that I be given the information that he channeled, and asked that I turn it into stories, which I did.
Wow, that's really cool. I did not think that the stories would go that far back. I just assumed that you wrote them, but I guess all the secrecy and everything, that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Real quick, I could not help but notice that the name Old Pete is also under the actor for Nolan Blackhorse. So
That's right. Yeah, that was a little bit of an homage, I guess, that the director put together. He did not know Old Pete, but he knew where the stories came from.
Understood. Why not say the name of the actor under that? Is it just another weird case of secrecy there? Sorry, not weird. There's nothing weird about it.
Yeah, we're very conscious of what information is okay to make public and what information is just impolite. And that is one of the instances that particular voice actor asked to remain anonymous, and we honored that.
Okay. You don't have to say yes or no to this. I was thinking about this earlier because I re-listened to a few of the episodes because it's just a lot of fun. But I was thinking to myself, I recognize that voice a little bit, and I was wondering if maybe that voice was the voice of the actor Matthew McConaughey. I know that sounds really way out there, but it seems similar, so I thought that I might as well ask.
Yes, it does seem similar, doesn't it?
It does. Is that a yes? Okay, sorry. Now you probably can't say anything. Never mind.
No, that is not a yes, and I can't say anything, as I said.
Why did you write the stories? Why'd you do that?
Why did I write the stories?
Yeah, and why did you do it? Why did you try to hide them afterwards,
I don't know that I tried to hide them. I think that they were a part of this podcast. If you're asking why the secrecy from the source of the stories, and well, yeah. Admittedly, there's a fair amount of secrecy with this. And let me just say this, Christy. Christy, is that right?
Yes.
So I'll tell you this. These stories do have a measure of truth to them. They're stories, of course, metaphoric and spoken in a fairy tale kind of language and imagery. but underneath them is a what I would call a mythic truth, an eternal truth. Are you following me, Christine? Stories like this have been told over and over and over. As long as people have been telling stories, the concepts within this collection of horsemen stories has been told in many different fashions according to the time and according to the location. You know, it embeds itself in the culture of the time and the culture of that particular place. And so I did a fair amount of research when I really wanted to transfer these bits of wisdom that were received from old Pete into stories, and found there's nothing new about these stories. However, they did have a goal. We did have a goal. We had an intention for bringing them forward this time. We were looking for a particular kind of listener, a particular kind of audience that understood this narrative in a very deep and a very personal way, if you understand what I'm saying.
And by certain audience, you mean carriers of the pearl? Sorry,
I notice you apologize a lot, Elijah.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, yes, I do.
Did we? Never mind.
Let me just say that we tried with the first season and we failed. We weren't able to find any of these individuals. Some came forward, but clearly they didn't understand the truths that were behind the narratives. But what we have found is that very recently, some content has come to our attention, and in working, I know that you're aware of that we've been working on a second season, and actually there've been a few people that have caught our attention, and we think really understand these stories, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting for us to continue on. And so I am very glad to have met the two of you, and I'm really glad that you enjoy these stories so much, and perhaps our paths will cross again.
That was weird. That was weird too. You all right? Christy? Are you doing? Shoot.